Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast for June 24th. Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryne, Herrera, Cody, Delmendo, and Joey running the ones and twos. Getting you ready for Cubs and Giants, a 4-game series that will start late tonight out on the West Coast. We will preview that series. We will talk about the most recent homestand where your Chicago Cubs went
4-5.
4-5 against the Cardinals and Mets.
And Giants.
Who
they also play tonight. It's like all
no bueno.
It's all teams that they're going to be battling for the wild card.
And all teams with
summer.
losing records.
The Cardinals are above 500 now. But I don't know if they were then.
No, I don't think they were then.
But yeah, it's all like teams hovering around 500, teams that are in this wild card picture that's just so wide open because the National League is just the middle of the National League is just mid at this point. Like it is the middle of the National League. Like every team is like
truly mid.
There are 7 teams within 3 games of the last wild card spot in the National League. It's you could say if you're a glass half full, like, oh, that means that the Cubs are right in there. They're not that far out there. But glass half empty means like a lot of these teams are just bad, and you're not gaining any ground. You're not putting distance between you and these other teams that have been bad along with you. Like it's just like you are one of those teams that's bad to average at this point.
I like to think of my glass as realistic. So I'll tell you what that means in a second. But Cody, how did you feel? We're also going to talk about the Ryne Sandberg statue and celebration. But how do you feel after? Well, first of all, that was the roughest Friday 120 club that you and Braggs have been a part of. When I saw what was going on, then it was 11-1 and it was 95 degrees outside. I thought to myself, I'd rather be laying down on the Dan Ryan right now.
Oh wow,
yeah,
soaking up the sun than I would be out in those bleachers at the moment.
Yeah, big of me to sit through all 9 innings of that. Credit to me. That said, it's just what is this, week 6, week 7 of numbness? I mean, that's
week 8.
Whatever. Like it doesn't matter. I've lost count, man. We're past 50 days of just exhausting baseball, brother. Like I'm as exhausted as I would be if I'm walking on the Stairmaster on a daily basis for 15 minutes, which is exhausting. Let me tell you, okay? This team, I don't understand this team. This team doesn't make any sense. All right, like last night, someone said something to me about, they need to add Vlad Jr. and some other, like, and Tanner Scott or whatever, and we'll go or whatever. And it's just like, dude, like, and they use the excuse of, Severino shoved against us in New York. Well, Shota shoved in New York, and he gets shelled on Friday, apparently throwing his fastball velocity down. That doesn't concern me at all. All right?
Well, I wouldn't be concerned about
allegedly
that.
On purpose.
Even though he said he did it on purpose for whatever reason. Am I concerned about Shota? Not really. But like I'm just saying, like, Severino came into last night's game with a 17% K rate, and he strikes out 10 Cubs. It's bullshit. It's not good. It's unacceptable. There's the PG ways. It's unacceptable.
There you go. Yeah.
It's absolutely unacceptable. All right. Shout out to Will. Sorry, Kate.
And the 2 girls that said they were big fans of our shows in the Kids Corral last week. Also you.
In the Kids Corral?
Yeah.
It's simply unacceptable on Ryne Sandberg Statue Day to go out there on a Sunday night on national television and just be so flat and so exhausting, dude. So exhausting. You knew the moment Lindor hit that homer that this shit was over. Like, it just was. I was trying to have some sort of optimism, all right? Whether it's the starting pitching and the fact that everything that I've said about Assad has gone on to be true. The fact that the offense is inconsistent. You score 8 runs against a pitcher who has actually had a decent season for the Mets on Saturday, but then against Severino, who gave up 6 runs his last start and really just he gives up contact. He doesn't strike people out. You get K'd 10 times. Like, what? This offense is it's nice to say that it's mid. It's legitimately nice to say that their offense is mid.
It's below mid. Look at the record.
Yes.
Right?
Sorry, I'm going to cut in real quick. They're 37-41?
Yes.
Last year, when the Cubs were 10 games below 500 in June and started to claw their way back and tried getting it, you know what their record was 78 games into the season?
37-41.
37-41.
Okay.
They are record-wise.
So you're saying they're going to tank in September?
Potentially, right? I mean, are they not already kind of doing that now? No, like record-wise, they're in the same spot as they were last year.
It's a different feel, though, right? It is for me.
This is the point I'm getting at, though.
And it should be a different feel.
It should be a different feel. And also, going back to what I was saying about the guy who was tweeting at me about saying that, they need to add this and that. It's like, this team isn't worth adding. This team is like, and they're not set up to sell. I legitimately think we're going to get a similar deadline as we did last year, adding someone like, whether it's a third baseman if they don't feel Shaw is ready, or adding some relievers, something just like that's not exciting, because this team, unless it decides to get hot out of nowhere and it puts the front office in a situation where it's like, well, maybe we're back. Maybe these guys are starting to play like the back of their baseball cards. Maybe, but it's just, we've seen 2 months of it, man. It's been 2 months of unacceptable baseball. And I'm honestly, I've never been more exhausted watching this team in this era. It was a lot easier watching that team in 2022 because those expectations were low. Last year's team had its moments, exciting moments, and obviously September put me 6 feet into a grave, and then I came out of it in like December. Okay, this team stinks. This team is just, it's an absolute joke, dude. It's an absolute joke to be top 10 in payroll and be this exhausting. This exhausting. I don't know how else to really say it anymore, man. I've done the, and you know what's stupid, and what people probably in the chat are probably thinking? Cody, you've done this rant a few times already. Think of something new. I can't. I absolutely can't, man. This is all I have for you. This is all I have for you. This team, it needs a shakeup. It needs some fire. I'm begging for someone to just go yell at someone. Go yell at someone and say, be better.
Go break the Gatorade cooler.
Ryne,
yes, break a Gatorade cooler.
Remember when he said he wasn't going to talk today?
Ryne, do you remember the part where Cody said, I have nothing to say today, you guys talk? That was like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, it was right before the show started. We're like, nope,
I have advice. I have advice for Jed Hoyer. I don't think he's asking for it. I don't think he's going to listen to it. My advice would be, Jed, when it comes time for the trade deadline, don't be the Chicago Bulls. Don't be the Bulls who could have taken something for Alex Caruso, decided, nah, we're going to try and get to the play-in game and see if we can get into this series, and then they got less for him when they had to trade him. Mm-hmm. Don't be that team. Don't be the Cubs of last year that were fooled by the Tauchman catch and the great run. If it feels like it's not right, it's not right. No. Don't expect a miracle. I think we've got a large... We always say the sample size isn't big enough, right? Sure. Sample size is growing here,
and we've big. It's halfway through the season now.
It's a pretty good sample size of what you've got here.
I think the one issue with comparing it to last season is the way they actually played after they went down 10 games. Like, I remember they started playing better, then they hit that slump after London, but then like most of July they were pretty good, and obviously they had that 8-game win streak. It was like, I don't think it was fooled by, whatever. I think it was more of like, this team is actually playing to a level maybe a bit better than where they actually are, but they did the work, and in my opinion, that team earned the right to go and take a shot at the playoffs.
They convinced you that they needed that next step in the progress of building this team, right?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it was being fooled. I think it was like, this team did what they needed to do and earn that right to go after and try to make the playoffs.
I said go after it. However, if you had last year, had you traded Cody Bellinger, maybe you'd have a piece that another prospect that might be in your group of players, somebody else they might have taken along the way. You probably could have traded Leiter last year. Somebody been like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll take that. I'll give you a prospect for that. I'm just saying,
I just think that
I'm glad they went for it, but in hindsight, it didn't work out the way we thought it was going to work out because of the way it all folded down the stretch. I don't want to see them get to that point again. I don't want to see them give up good prospects that they don't need to give up just to fail again, because it feels like it's not.
They didn't give up anything. Okay, maybe
No.
DJ Hers last year, but
they missed the opportunity to gain if they really wanted to. I don't think it was the right time to do that, but this year's a different situation than last year. It's time for breaking up some of the pieces this offseason and saying this group doesn't quite work together, and here's why. So if you had to say one thing you were excited about in this last homestand and one thing that you're depressed or, well, I don't know what else to say about it from this series, quickly, what would they be? You're excited, you're either optimistic, or you're depressed. One of each.
I mean, I think Corey put it really well on last night's show, talking about, because of how everything is it's not allowed us to appreciate the few good things that's going on.
Yeah.
And Jameson Taillon is having an incredible bounce back season. He was awesome on Saturday with the wind blowing straight out, going up against a lineup that's probably overperforming right now. And they won that, and that's why I'm so disappointed about what happened last night. Like, you had a chance to win 2 series in a row, get back to 2 under, and take some momentum out to San Francisco, who's lost 5 in a row, but instead you lose another series, and it is what it is. But Jameson Taillon has been awesome, man. I know the underlying peripherals weren't exactly great, but he struck out 10 on Saturday in those conditions, and he's been a workhorse for you in general. He's been eating innings. He's been doing exactly what you paid him to do. He's not elite. He's not like a number 1 or a number 2, but he's been a great middle of the rotation starter. If anything, he's been your replacement for Stroman this year, And so what he has done, it's unfortunate that it's kind of being overshadowed by all of this crap that I've been complaining about. And I feel bad about it. It's like, and I could say the same thing about Shota. I know Shota wasn't good on Friday, but overall, he's been awesome. For as much money as the Dodgers gave Yamamoto, who's now hurt, and you have Shota for significantly less, and he's giving you what he's giving you. The fact that we haven't really talked about that a ton, it's because this team just isn't. It's middle of the pack. It's at best, and that's. So I just given you that's
your positive.
My positive and my negative.
Your negative, that's well documented.
My depressed and my positive.
No, your positives are definitely starting pitching. Like, besides Imanaga's start Friday, he's been great. I mean, you go back to the beginning of the homestand when he shut down the Cardinals for 7 innings. So, some of these blowups, I think were bound to happen. He wasn't going to be perfect forever. So I'm not super worried about it. It's just about, okay, how do you adjust to the next start and get back on track? Steele's been really good still. We knew that coming in. I know he had a few outings. The home run was a problem, but he's been really good since. Taillon's looked really, really good lately, especially over the homestand. I think he had pitched twice in the homestand. And then Hendricks, not even just the start the other day. Go back to when Wicks had to come out of that game. Hendricks comes in and was it 4 1/3 scoreless, right?
He's got 10 innings.
He's got his June, whether it's been the bullpen or that last start, has been really, really good. He had scoreless streak going out of the bullpen, when that's just an adjustment in itself, and he was looking better. So my optimistic thing is just the starting pitching is going to keep this team in games for the most part. And that's something that Craig Counsell talked about as far as he was asked yesterday pregame, I think, just about is there any consolation in the fact that this team hasn't gone on super long losing streaks? They might lose a few games in a row, but they're able to kind of at least get a win there, break it up, not just let it extend to 9 or 10 losses. And Counsell said while he's not interested in consolation prizes, that he did credit it to the starting pitching and what they've gotten that consistently throughout the year. So I think if you're talking about just being optimistic, anything that make you optimistic is that the starters for most of the year have just continued to be at the least giving the team a chance to win games, and that can take you very far. It can't take you all the way, but that can take you very far, especially when the rest of the team is struggling to get themselves meshing. And then I don't know, what was it, depressing?
Depressing.
They're losing a lot of games. They don't look great. The games aren't that fun to watch, really. Like for them, like the two they lost against the Mets. Just I think Cliff Lloyd said it on the Marquee show. Like the team just didn't look like they had a lot of fight. I think I saw that on Twitter. I don't know if
that's
true.
what he said.
I wasn't
he said
watching it.
Non-competitive at bats.
But that's what it kind of feels like. And like Cody said, it's just as soon as some of those teams are getting early leads, it feels like the game is over early in the game. And like that's why, like watching this team again, I do still think this team is it should be a better team than what they're putting out there. But at the end of the day, it's like what they're putting out there is what they are right now. And it is hard to watch. I'll say that.
You are who you are, and right now it sort of stinks. You don't have to stink, though. Mando whole body deodorant will have you smelling great all summer. Mando's array of odor controlling solutions ensures you'll be fresh from head to toe. The solid stick and invisible cream tube control odor for 72 hours, but you can start your odor control in the shower with the 4-in-1 cleansing bar and acidified body wash, which helps stop odor before it even starts. The best part is they all fit in your carry-on. All liquids in the starter pack are under 3.4 ounces. And with deodorant wipes, you can freshen up on the go. Mando is seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, packages, belly buttons, butt cracks, stinky crevices, stomach folds, and feet. Created by a doctor who noticed firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Imagine that. Mando whole body deodorant is powerful enough for the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to use anywhere on your body. Because it's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, cruelty-free, dye-free, and vegan. Mando Starter Kit is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. We have the discount code for you, too. It helps you get hooked up on our favorite-smelling whole-body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off the starter pack with our exclusive code CHGO. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use the code CHGO, shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Link in the description below. I saw all those pictures of Braggs with his shirt off on the Friday 120, and I thought, thank heavens for Mando.
Yeah, Mando saved him on
Saved
Friday.
a lot of people in the bleachers.
Saved me. And
I would have saved you guys from just passing out on the bleachers.
Yeah.
Sunnyside saved you, too.
Yeah, Sunnyside saved me that day. Sunnyside's going to save me today. I'm going to make a stop on my way home and then stop at the Ryne Sandberg statue to take a picture with it to send to my mom.
Maybe shed a tear.
Yeah, I'll try and muscle up some tears, even though this team isn't worth any tears right now.
But Sunnyside is worth my time. If you're here to elevate your summer, Sunnyside has you covered, all right? Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far as south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. Stop in the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff or select from quality lines like Cresco and FloraCal. Here for the summer is Good News Tea Time disposable vapes, bringing classic lemonade flavor that's perfect for the golf course, perhaps.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you're into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if you're into that. We got our golf outing coming up.
Cookout Classic coming up.
Yeah. We all need a little help staying loose on the green. I know I do because I get all tense, and that's why I'm really bad at golf. So maybe if I take some Sunnyside,
golf swing.
you know,
Oh.
it will help me. Anyway, a good one is Mindy Siegel's award-winning chocolates.
Oh, yeah.
You too can get one of those two things at Sunnyside. If you just head there online, sunnyside.shop, and use code HICHGO, CHGO, at checkout for 35% off. Brands like Cresco, Good News, and more to elevate your first purchase. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only 21 plus, or Illinois medical card holders.
So,
Nice.
40 years after the Ryne Sandberg game against the Cardinals at Wrigley Field, the Cubs finally unveiled the new Ryne Sandberg statue at Gallagher Way. It was a big Rhino Day. As Cody mentioned, I had the same feelings watching that game, and that was how could, and it's not that the team's not trying. You know they're trying. They're playing for contracts and stuff like Brendan was saying, but how could that be how you were approaching your at-bats last night? How could that be the enthusiasm that we saw on the field when you all stood up there and watched out of respect Ryne Sandberg not just one of the most beloved Cubs of all time, not just one of the greatest Cubs of all time, one of the greatest baseball players in the game's history, who's yours, tell you that he loves you and thank you for helping him get through cancer treatment and chemotherapy and radiation, and you're watching the guy fight for his life, and he tells you that these are the things that are the most important to him. Cubs fans, this ballpark, this game, and that's the game that was put on the field?
They were out there, too.
That's what I'm saying. You watched that ceremony, and that didn't give you a little bit extra. Instead, you were out there, and it was a flat game.
Yeah.
That's how it felt, flat. So I'll be honest. When I first saw the statue, I didn't love it. It looks like Rhino. But I was debating. I said, are they going to give like that first long stride that he would take towards getting out of the box fast to first base? Is it going to be the swing or the stance right before that you see in the video before the home runs? His classic stance at the plate, which basically never changed. Are we going to see that? Are we going to see him throwing to second base for a double play with Dunston or something like that? And so I thought it was an odd position. It's just like him squatting there. But this is what Rhino said. Ryne got the video at the Sandberg ceremony, and when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Rhino has changed my mind about the statue.
Here we go.
Hold on, Joey's got it here.
Joey.
This is Ryne Sandberg at Wrigley Field.
Here we go.
Center cut video again from Ryan
You're
Herrera.
welcome. Always.
Center cut.
Center cut.
Well done.
Oh.
Well, some of the things I wanted with the statue was on the balls of the feet, ready for every single pitch. That's another reflection on being for every pitch in the batter's box. And defense was very important for me. I thought it was, for me, it was bring your glove every single day. You might go into some hitting slumps, but as far as defense goes, as long as I did my pregame work and did that, I wanted to play defense every day for the pitcher, for everybody on the field. The statue reflects 80s, 90s baseball for me. It's got the old vintage flip-down glasses, which are a must every single day game at Wrigley Field. You only flipped them down if the ball went up, and they were so dark that even if the ball was in the sun, you'd still catch it. But I think that's very cool. The gold patch on the gold glove signifies the gold gloves that were won. Of course, the vintage jersey, the pullover jersey, not the button down, and the elastic pants right on down to the stirrups. The uniform, the fans will recognize that as 80s style, and they might even call it.
So he loves it. I didn't think of being on the balls of feet, be defensively ready. I can remember back to Rhino being in Peoria and in Iowa and talking about that stuff as a minor league manager, that those were the things he preached to his players all the time. So now that carries through to what he wants people to see and remember him for. I think it's interesting. He doesn't want people to remember him. He likes that more than he likes the swing of 40 home runs. I think he believes that is what made him a special player more than somebody that hits 40, because now guys just swing for the 40 and forget all the other stuff.
Yeah, I think it I really liked when he said it was like that, like basically hitting, like slumps happen, hitting kind of comes and goes because slumps happen, but like if you do your pregame work, you get ready every day, you should always be ready to make a defensive play, to be ready for the next pitch, be ready to make a play if you need it. Like I like that, and I think I didn't get to watch Rhino play, but having seen the highlights and heard the stories and all that, like that is how he conducted himself as a baseball player, just being ready to back up the pitcher, back up his teammates, have his teammates back, and make plays for this team and try to help them win. I think that's the epitome of who Ryne Sandberg is. And so I wrote about this yesterday too. Like the statue isn't of like some iconic, or isn't depicting some iconic image that Fergie Jenkins had the Sports Illustrated one.
It's not the Jordan statue. Right? It's not right.
It's not that where a lot of statues of other people do have that, but it was like he wanted to be known as being a guy who was always ready on defense. And what's being more ready on defense than being on the balls of your feet, ready to make a play? I think that's what he wants to be known as, and that's what the statue depicts. I think it fits what he wanted.
Totally changed my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I was with you. It's not that I even really didn't like it. It was just, it felt underwhelming.
There's no action to it.
Yeah,
right? You don't feel like it's
whenever it was first unveiled, I was like, okay, cool. And you know, if that's what he wants, fine, man. Like I can't criticize that. So I'm just glad the Cubs did what he wanted, you know. So I don't really have any other thoughts on the statue itself, but I thought the ceremony was great. For once, Bob Costas didn't make me roll my eyes yesterday. Credit to him. Yeah, it was a great ceremony. Loved to see all the fans that came out, and obviously seeing the players come out at the upper deck was, you know, was a sign of respect. And I didn't get to see Sandberg play. Like by the time he was done, I hadn't even really started watching the game yet. My mom loved him and she's a Cubs fan because of him. And so, like, I will always give him credit for being a big reason why I am, because if she's not, then I'm not. And so, you know, like, I just think it's a great thing for all the people older than me, the generations before me that got to see him play. And in my opinion, it's way past due that his statue was put up. It should have been put up years ago. I don't know why they took so long to put a statue up.
You need
for
to wait
Fergie
40
Jenkins.
years after the game. You could have done it 20 years.
Like they retired his number, what, like 10, 15 years ago? Like, I don't know why the statue wasn't put up then. I know, like, they didn't have Statue Row and all these things going on. I don't know if that had something to do with it, but, like, to me, that statue should have been up a long time ago. And I'm someone who didn't even get to see him play, but I know how much he impacted not only the game, but the city of Chicago. 23 is just a special number here, obviously. Like, he finally got the recognition to be there, be outside Wrigley Field for the rest of the time that it's there. I think that's special. And for people who recognize the Sandberg game in 1984 and all that, like, they got their moment. I hope one day I get to have my own.
I recognize what...
That'd probably be in 2 years whenever they make a statue for 2016.
Mark Silverman of AM 1000.
Wait, you want your own moment?
You want your own statue?
I'm confused.
No, I'm
by
I'm talking about...
That's what I thought.
I thought you meant you want your own statue.
That's why I laughed.
Cody
I'm
wants
like,
a statue of
hell
him yelling, "Be better!"
Yeah. No, that's why I laughed. I was
No,
like, hell
I ju-
yeah, Cody. That's the mentality to have.
I'm just saying, like, this is coming from someone who, again, I've talked about this before, like, the Cubs are always pushing these guys who came before me, and they rightfully deserve it. I have nothing against it.
They're late on it.
But they're so late on it. They're so late on it. Sandberg should have had a statue way before now. And Fergie Jenkins, who played before him, like, he should have had a statue too. So at some point, I hope that there's another, whether it's a single statue or if they're doing a statue of the 2016 crew in a couple years, because I'll be 10 years from the anniversary, like, great. But I don't resonate with any of these guys that we have statues out there. And that's all I'm saying is I look forward to that moment. And that's what I'm saying about Sandberg is the fans who became fans, like Luke, like Sandberg was one of your first favorite players. You finally got to see that when it should have came a long time ago, you know? That's all I'm saying.
Mark Silverman said that game, the Sandberg game, not only did it, Rhino said it, that sort of propelled him into the MVP conversation, got the team going. Mark Silverman described it as that was the first time in his life that he thought it's okay, or the Cubs can be good. My favorite team actually could be good. Like, I'd never in my lifetime had I thought, well, the Cubs could be a good team. And that he's right. That was the first time where you were like, wow, it's a lot more fun when they're good. And we might actually have a star player. And that then continued forward. And hopefully future Cubs fans have that player coming up for them in the near future. And you're right, the statue could be coming. I wouldn't be surprised. I still think it's the World Series one, but I wouldn't be surprised if they honored Kerry Wood's strikeout game with some sort of statue. I wouldn't be, like, I don't know that the player it's alone deserves a statue, because these are Harry Carey. These are Hall of Fame and Hall of Fame players, so I don't know if that deserves a statue, but because it was arguably the greatest game ever pitched, I could see them trying to slide that in before the World Series or another player. I don't think so, but I wouldn't rule it out.
I look at it as like the World Series probably has more.
Yes.
More. What's the word? More of an argument to get the
Oh,
to get the
sure.
next statue. Like I don't
In
think
2 years, do the 10-year anniversary.
I don't think any one individual player from that team. We've talked about it too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if any one individual player from that team actually deserves their own statue, but there's definitely a way to commemorate the team as a whole. And then just like looking around, like the past, I guess since Sandberg to now, right? Like, I don't know if there's any other players that have emerged that like Sammy would be one if they could ever get the relationship fixed with the Cubs, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'll be dead when that happens.
is there another player that had the kind of career with the Cubs and had their peak years were with the Cubs, they had the longevity, all that, where they actually like they should have a statue outside Wrigley Field? I don't know if there is
Brendan
one.
pushes for Sogard all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
You've been pushing for Esteban Quiros.
Esteban Quiros.
Tony
No,
Campana.
Tony Campana. Just
Yeah.
you don't even see it. It's so fast. The statue's
I
not
would
even there.
say Theo Epstein deserves his
That's
own
one.
statue. But, I don't know.
All right, we're going to talk about the upcoming series first. Ryan's going to tell us
Yeah.
where we could check out some odds.
I was gonna say, who else deserves a statue? It's Circa Sportsbook.
Yeah, it does.
Circa's got those tight money line splits that Luke loves. Games will strive to be a -110 split on the Circa Sports menu, unlike other sportsbooks, which may use -115 or -120 splits. Circa Sports keeps as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to other books. Circa Sports does not limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. But if you want to check it out yourself, they do encourage bettors to download and explore all sports betting apps available to compare the lines from each sports book. And then Circa's customer service is top-notch. There's real people behind the Circa Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike other books who use chatbots. And all aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, which Cody's been to and said it's very lovely.
It is. It's like my second favorite place in the world.
Behind this office.
No, Wrigley Field.
Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
Circa.
Yeah. Then this office. This
yeah, there you
office
go.
3.
Sure.
But yeah, so Circa Sportsbook. Download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. They're actually with us, Cody, Braggs, and the whole group every Friday 120. Circa joins us for those events, so you can hang out with us, hang out with Circa at the Friday 120 clubs. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, text GAMB to 833-234, or visit areyoureallywinning.com.
Shout out to Angel Reese and over on the rebounds yesterday.
Oh, congratulations.
10.5. She had 16. She's a dog, like she
Easy.
said.
Highlight of your weekend.
Yeah. That and JT.
That and JT, yeah.
Yep.
Some beers can say they're brewed for baseball. Only Blue Moon is brewed by baseball. Beer and baseball just go together, and no beer goes better than the one that was literally born in a ballpark. Blue Moon, created at Coors Field in Denver. It's the natural choice all season long. Summertime shy right now, beautiful, warm weather, blue skies. Give me a Blue Moon to cool off. Nothing beats watching baseball or lounging by the pool or hanging on a boat in the summertime like an ice-cold Blue Moon with a slice of orange. Blue Moon, brewed by baseball to give you a dose of nostalgia and get you excited for the new season. A beer this good only comes around once in a Blue Moon, but you can enjoy it all summer long and all season long. Bring the ballpark to you with Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale. It's one of a kind every time. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO to see your delivery options. That's get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
To close on the Rhino stuff
Yeah.
and the statue and who the next statue should be, I think it's clear who the next single statue should be, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because I've done it so many times on this show in the last 2.5 years. Everyone knows how I feel about that, and no one's going to change my mind about it, and that's fine. And if you have a different opinion about it, that's fine too.
Sammy, you're referring
Yes.
to. Yeah, okay.
He absolutely deserves one. I don't care what anyone else says. You're never going to be able to change my mind. And I say this because Luke, Ryne Sandberg made you believe that the Cubs could be
That's
good.
right.
He resonated with so many fans growing up in the 80s, all right? And that's what Sammy Sosa did for me in the late 90s and 2000s, all right? And if no one can understand that, I don't care
what your ethics, your integrity, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. He did what he did. You go look at the fan attendance for the Cubs after 1998, and it increased largely because of him, all right? Consistently, years upon years during and after 1998. That's it, all right? That's who I will. That is the clear one, and it probably will never happen. And because if he can't even get in the Cubs Hall of Fame because of however the voters feel about him, that's fine. I've come to grips with it. But that's the easy one. That all said, though, if they gotta when it comes to the World Series one, all I'm asking is to just not mess it up. Like, ask whoever you got to ask, whether it's Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, John Lester, whoever. Like, don't mess it up, because that will be the most sacred statue out there, in my opinion. Like, all those Hall of Famers are great. They did great things at Wrigley Field for years, but none of them won the World Series. That group of players did something that we all never thought we would actually see. So when that time comes, don't mess it up.
Someone had the idea. I don't remember who it was. It wasn't my idea. That I don't want to take credit for, but I don't remember who. It might have been Jordan Bastion of MLB.com. But that, like, because Gallagher Way's so long, if you did like one entrance, is like on either entrance, the Chris Bryant to Rizzo. Like, it doesn't have to be like them together in a statue, but like
he's
across
throwing on
Way.
the other side.
Like, one's like Chris Bryant coming up with the hands raised. Rizzo's got the hand raised on the
in
other
the middle
side,
is the
something
mound
like
with everybody celebrating.
Oh yeah,
Takes up too much space.
It'd take a little bit more. But no, I think some way to.
I think it's that.
Couldn't have the
them and
merry-go-round.
with like
That
Rizzo
too
and
could be the
Bryant,
other way,
and then
yeah.
it's like the other thing is you got some guys in the statue. Then is there going to be a big Addison Russell cut out there jumping up with Javi Baez? I don't know. That's what I'm thinking about. There's so many moments though that you could immortalize. I do wonder how they get a couple smaller things.
Tricky.
Zobrist with his hands on his head looking at after the double. Or that's Rizzo with his hands on his head looking at Zobrist, but then there's Zobrist, jumping in to the to second base. There's so many like still shots. That's gonna be hard for them to mess up because easy in one way because it's so special, but so many special moments that's it's hard to go wrong.
All of the statues in Chicago sports are done by the same sculptor and artist.
Lucella?
Yeah. Now he started with the Jordan ones, obviously the most famous, but he's done the Walter Payton one. He's done all of those Cubs statues. He's done the ones outside of United Center for the Blackhawks as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. I would assume that's coming. I know White Sox fans like to go before the game to that statue of their 05 championship, and then I think the Cubs fans deserve something like that. So we'll see how it plays out.
I think Soriano should get one.
I think first what needs to happen is the Cubs need to win 4 straight against the Giants. If you're going to have any aspirations of trying to say you're a buying team and a competitive team, all these things, when we go to that road trip in Milwaukee this Saturday, what are they, 7.5 out right now behind the Brewers? Something like that?
Milwaukee won on Sunday.
I'll take a look.
And they lost 3 or 4. It was a weekend that the Cubs could have actually made some decent ground in division, but they lost 3 or 4, but they won on Sunday. Cubs lost, so they lost the game.
The Cubs are 8 back of Milwaukee.
You're 8 back in Milwaukee. You play the Giants for 4 games, and then you have the Brewers in Milwaukee. That number, by the time the series is over in Milwaukee, needs to be cut in half. That's the type of run you're going to have to go on, right? You're either going to have to sweep the Brewers and play average against the Giants, or you're going to have to start to pick up some ground quickly for me to change my mind from what I said, I don't know, a little over a week ago or 10 days ago. This team's not going to the postseason.
Well, it feels like
no matter how much you can look at 2 games back with 5 other teams and all stuff. It's a mirage in the desert right now. It's water that looks like it's there.
Yeah,
it's currently not there.
It feels like at this point they have to win both those series because that would make them 5-2 on the week. They would get. I mean, I guess depends what Milwaukee does in Texas, but against Texas.
Go 5-2, 6-1 here. I don't see anything that makes me believe that other than your pitching matchups are decent. You have Steele, Hendricks, Imanaga, Taillon.
Well, you have Steele and Hendricks confirmed. Counsell didn't. He didn't. He named the two and said we'll kind of figure it out from there. If it lines up the regular, like the way it's been lining up, those would be it. But like, it's possible there's wants to shuffle things around and get one or two guys like an extra day or two.
But you feel good about Steele, right?
Yeah, you feel good about
Steele. And you
Steele.
feel good about the way Hendricks has pitched against the Giants the last couple of years.
Hendricks has given you a reason lately to feel a little bit better about him going into the start. I don't know if you feel good about Hendricks yet, but you feel better obviously than you did the first 2 months of the year.
Had his best start of the season last year in San Francisco.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
7 2/3 no hit, something like that, right?
Yeah. Steele's been great after those first couple starts against Pittsburgh, and for some reason Pittsburgh owns him. But after since that start in Milwaukee, he's been awesome, and he's given you everything he's got going out there. Incorporating that changeup more a little bit this year, and maybe that's the difference. Maybe that I would argue that he's looked since that start in Milwaukee. At this point, small sample size because he missed that month. But since that start in Milwaukee, I think you can argue that if he is not the same as last year, he's better. Because I think he's even getting more strikeouts this year, it feels like, too. And he hasn't been giving up any home runs of late either, which was something that we talked about a lot last year. But at the beginning of the, when he came back, he was giving up some home runs. So he's stabilized in that aspect, too. So I feel great about Steele tonight in this ballpark. I do. And I do feel pretty good about Hendricks tomorrow just because he has pitched well against them, not only this year but last year. It's the same lineup. And also, the Giants have lost 5 in a row. And I know that means that they're due for a win. But I've watched that game that they played in Alabama on Friday against the Cardinals and followed them this entire weekend a little bit since I, of course, always hate watching the Cardinals. And they're like 6-7 games under 500. Their offense, I would argue, is just as bad as the Cubs. Their pitching is fine, but it's not. I don't think it's better than the Cubs. They don't scare me. Now going to San Francisco scares me because I feel like historically in the last 5 to 6 years the Cubs have struggled when they go out west. But as of right now, of where things are at, who's playing better or not, I feel like the Cubs match up well against this Giants team, but you got to play the games, right? So you're right, Luke. Like if this team is going to change my mind about whether it's buying or, getting back into this division race, like this week is right. It's as important as any week. I mean, Corey really pushed down on the 9-game homestand and you go 4-5. Like when is this team going to wake up and start playing the way that it should? It has to. If we're going to really talk about this team in any kind of serious way, this is the week. And if they, go 500 again, we'll just be talking about the same thing again next week. Oh, we're probably like just middle of the pack. Like it's just like the wild card race,
Well, yeah.
And I'm to be completely honest with you, I'm waiting for the Padres to get really hot. And I'm waiting for Arizona to figure it out. Because those are the two teams that scare me the most in this wild card race. Like, I know the Cardinals are second in the wild card right now, but they're just as mid as the Cubs, all right? So, if the Cubs are going to be the team that we all thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year, this is the week that they have to get something going. And I'm not trying to jump ahead or anything, so I'm one game at a time. At this point, for me, going for this week, can Steele do what he's been doing? Can you get a little bit of offense? Can you not strike out looking on fastballs down the middle of the plate?
By the way, 27 strikeouts in the last 2 losses.
Right. So I'm not trying to end the show on some sort of positive note because I'm not positive, but I think what I'm saying is somewhat along the lines of being fair to say. So
no, this is an important week because this is gonna take you into July, basically the end of the Brewers series, June 30th. But like, the Cubs just beat the Giants in a 3-game series. Probably should have swept them. Bullpen blew it, obviously that first one a week ago. So probably should have swept them. I agree. Like I think they match up well with the Giants. They would have Steele. If things go how rotation-wise, how they've gone. We would have Steele, Imanaga, and Taillon in this series that you feel good about, and then Hendricks, we'll see how that goes on Tuesday. But, yeah, it's going to be a pretty important week going into July, especially when you have the Brewers, the division leaders, right there in Milwaukee to end the month. And then you have 30 days after that until the trade deadline, and really 3 weeks until you kind of got to be in a position where going in and going more in and buying makes sense. I don't think this team is going to be a true seller because they don't have, one, it would be awful for them to be selling at this point in the rebuild. But it's also I don't think they have the trade chips they've had in the last few years to sell at the deadline. So I don't think they'll be true sellers, but you probably by by the end of the third week of June, they kind of need to be or July, they kind of need to be in a spot where they feel good about actually going out and buying and not just staying pat or buying a little bit. They got to be in that. They got to be in that position. So you really have 4 weeks.
I just want, if they're going to be buyers, if you're really going to convince me they're going to be buyers for something, the buying needs to be with the future in mind, not a short-term, hey, we can fix this. This might plug the hole for another month and a half. If you want to make that deal, fine, but I wouldn't. That wouldn't be the focus. The focus would be this player can help us for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So you'd rather have Vlad than Alonso?
Yes.
Okay.
Same.
I mean, I don't disagree. Having a little more control is helpful, but it's also a little more expensive too.
I'm okay with the other way. I'm still okay with selling at this point because, like I said, sure, 15-5 would be great before the All-Star break right now, and it might convince them we can still go get this. But that also might be a mirage too, right. And that's the way this team feels to me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You got 4 weeks. You got 28 days to kind of figure. Was it 28? Whatever it is.
Yeah. From a pitching standpoint, in terms of the trade deadline, I mean, I saw a tweet from this weekend. I can't remember who it was. Was reported, I guess.
Flaherty.
About Jack Flaherty, and he's having an insane year in Detroit. Was a big candidate, bounce back, change of scenery type guy. Amazing what happens when you get out of St. Louis. But, he's a guy that I'm it doesn't make any sense because the starting pitching has been good. But with what I've said about Assad, that's the only thing I can understand why they would consider that. And the only reason I bring him up is because he would be a rental because it's a 1-year deal, I'm pretty sure. And so he's been great. Pitching is a lot more expensive than offense, I believe, at the trade deadline. At least we've seen in the last handful of years. So as much as I would love to have him so you could put Assad into the bullpen,
to cut down his innings, as Brendan and Corey were talking about, he's going to be way beyond what he should be throwing.
As much as I would love that, I'm also with Luke on the concern of what are you giving up for him? Because I really do, even though he's a rental, he's been having such a great year that he could command a lot, even for a rental, because pitching is just so much more expensive. And I just don't think this team is worth giving up, a guy in your top 30 for a rental. And I think that you have to give up a guy in your top 30 for a guy like Flaherty. So it just obviously depends on who that guy is and this and that and all these things to play out. And this team has to be not 4 games under 500 come that time. But I am intrigued about a guy like that. It just depends on where the team is at, and they just gotta if it's gonna change my mind, they gotta play well this week.
If I'm buying right now, it's Penrose Seltzer from Penrose Brewing in Geneva, Illinois. Seltzups and hard seltzers with real fruit, led by Lemon Seltzup, a national gold medal winning hard seltzer made with real lemons. They created our unique twist on a lemon shake-up with a house-made hard seltzer and pureed lemons for a throwback to warm weather and county fairs. Also available is the Lemon Tea-Up, a half-and-half inspired hard seltzer, and just released this year, the Transfusion Seltzup, inspired by the popular golf cocktail with grape, ginger, and lime. Penrose is available at your local beverage retailer or visit Penrose's Tap Room in Geneva. For more information, go to penrosebrewing.com or follow them on social media at Penrose Brewing. That's Penrose Brewing. Hey, we want to tell everybody, first of all, we're going to be back here again tomorrow, same time, where instead of doing a post-game show tonight at 1 o'clock in the morning when everybody's going to be asleep, we'll kind of do a post-game / preview show, same time, 1:20 again tomorrow. So that's the setup. But right now, this week, our focus is on the big trip coming up Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
The big trip. You can still go to allchgo.com, get tickets for the party bus and the ticket to Milwaukee. Again, it'll start at Almost Home, the party bus. You can get on there. Or you could wait and go to get picked up in Waukegan at Circa Sports, Illinois. That's a spot for getting picked up. You could ride. You could stop at both of them. And then from there, all the way up to Milwaukee, little tailgate action in the parking lot. That also includes the ticket. It's $99 round trip on the party bus. The booze on the bus included. The tailgate included. The vibes included. And did I hear this right? Adam Hogue is going to come on the bus with us?
Is he? Adam Hogue.
So there might even be some Caleb Williams talk going on in this.
Noted Brewers fan, Adam Hogue?
No. Well, maybe. He's just trying to find a team because his socks are so bad.
Yeah, a lot of the crew's going. Isn't it and also isn't special guest Caitlin Hendricks joining?
Caitlin Hendricks is going.
Caitlin Hendricks?
May or may not be related to Kyle Hendricks.
She was in here for our social.
I forgot to ask her.
I don't think
if she was related to Kyle Hendricks. She's not.
I don't think she actually is.
I don't think she actually is, but I just wanted to ask her to confirm.
But yeah, I mean, I'll be up there obviously working the game. I'll be there all weekend in Milwaukee. So even if you're not on the road trip and you're up there Friday or Sunday, say hi. But you should join the road trip Saturday with the crew.
$99. Let's hope that, like you said, win 4 games, win 3 games against the Giants, and at least make it interesting that if you were to go and play well against the Brewers, things could look a little bit different.
Yeah, and then Cubs fans tend to show up pretty well up north, up in
it's significantly cheaper to go up there.
Up in Blue Moon Ballpark, is that what we're calling it?
Blue Moon Ballpark is
up
what
in
we're
Blue Moon
calling it now.
Ballpark. Cubs fans tend
Blue Moon
to show
Ballpark
up there.
North.
But it would be great to have a section of fans from CHGO's road trip there together, cheering together. That'd be awesome to see, I think.
I assume Braggs is coming and bringing. I don't want to predict what kind of sign he would bring, but something about Green Bay sucks.
It's a good sign.
Caleb better than Love.
Is Braggs allowed in the state of Wisconsin? Have they not banned him yet?
I have a feeling that even if the roof were closed, Braggs might be shirtless.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have AC there, so if it's a hot day,
well, then you hope the roof is open.
Yeah, I felt it. It's not great.
Again, we gotta.
Now, is Ryan going to bring us the free soft serve from the press box?
Ooh.
Is there a way to
Doubtful.
pass it down a little bit?
I
could bring a cooler.
Free is relative. Free to me.
Actually, I just thought of a third stop. We should be stopping at Kopp's Custard, KOPPS.
That's
Castle. The custard of all custards.
What about the Cheese Castle?
No, if you've never had Kopp's frozen custard, you've never had frozen custard. So really there should be 3 stops. Almost Home, Circa, and then Kopp's frozen custard, and then Ballpark. I'm going to work on that.
Unrelated to the trip, even though, I mean,
Eric's either telling me to hit the gym or saying I hit the gym.
But I'm intrigued as far as the rest of this week going into Milwaukee. I am intrigued to see how much the Cubs use Tomas Neato, who did catch on Saturday again with Taillon, and he struck out 10. You okay? You gonna live, Luke? Anyway,
Mike Presnowski says Kopp's is outstanding. All caps. Thank you, Luke.
I did not see it.
I gave a flexor and then I banged my elbow on the table.
It's Cody.
I missed it as I was actually trying to say something.
Tomas Neato?
Yeah, listen.
That was one of your positives from early, Neato.
Well, he did catch Taillon.
Yeah, could be his key to saving the summer.
And I thought he did a great job. And I mean, he had a hit too, which is more than he statistically is better than what Gomes and Amaya combined have been. So all I'm saying is I'm intrigued to see how much more they use him this week, because Amaya is someone that I still have belief in. He's still trying to, go. He's a young player, man. So
he's 24, right? Still 25,
at least Neato is a guy who's experienced. I think the framing and strike call rate is so much better with Neato behind the plate than it was with Gomes this year, at least. So, I I do think that his addition will make a positive impact on the team.
Well, that's what Counsell talked about. It was like the whole thing. Like they loved Jan in that clubhouse. He was seen as a real leader there, someone that wasn't afraid to say something if it needed to be said. A guy whose voice carried weight in there. But the move was like they just needed to find production out of that spot, and neither of those two guys, Amaya or Gomes, were giving it to him for most of the year. And obviously, Gomes was it $6 million, I think, was his contract this year. It was easy enough, not easy, but like someone that like designating him for assignment, weren't eating a ton of money, and that was just the move that made sense if you were trying to find an upgrade in that catching spot. So yeah, like Neato's wasn't just brought in to be a backup catcher to Miguel Amaya. Like the fact until Amaya is giving this team consistent production on both sides of the ball, Neato is probably going to will probably carve out a pretty significant role on this team. And it's only a week in, or is it even a week in? Like he's still going to have to learn this pitching stuff. I know Taillon talked about liked working with him the other day over the weekend, having Neato call the games and whatever. Like he praised him. He gave him some praise later post game that Neato did a really good job with him, and you saw how Taillon kind of dominated in that start. But yeah, no. So if Neato can give them the production on both sides of the ball, they just weren't getting with Gomes. Yeah, I would say he's probably going to get a pretty eventually, and not today or tomorrow, but like as the days that he's with the Cubs continue to go on, like I definitely see him carving out a pretty significant role on the roster, because they kind of need it at this point.
Yep. Steele tonight for the Cubs. 4-game series starts with the Giants again. Maybe head to the Discord for all the diehards after the game. You want to have a little chat afterwards, and then we'll be back recapping that game tomorrow afternoon, 1:20, right here on the CHGO Sports YouTube page. And we'll have another live show. We'll look ahead to the Game 2 with Hendricks coming up as well. Appreciate you stopping in this afternoon. And thanks to everybody out there. Thumbs ups on the way out. Do we have one super chat,
right?
Joey? Say real quick on the way out. Fernando said, big of Cody to stay on Friday. He left in the 4th inning.
Friday 120 Club there's always vibes. Even if the game isn't great, there's always vibes in those bleachers.
Those vibes were
something. It was something.
Thank goodness for Mando. That's all I can say about Friday's game. True. Thanks for watching. Appreciate everybody. And don't forget, fly the W.